Welcome, everybody. I am so excited. Today's guest is Casey Lerner. She's a California girl currently living in New Jersey. She's a super successful real estate agent in both New Jersey and New York. And today we're going to learn how she's battled fear and anxiety, and she's learning her worth as a mom, as a wife, as a woman, and as a professional. So let's get started.
Angela Fazio is an industry powerhouse who has overseen 40,000 homes sold and $9 billion in production. And Kristen Cantrell is one of the nation's most accomplished team leaders, helping thousands of agents build their businesses. They are passionate about educating, encouraging, and empowering moms in real estate. Our next episode starts now.
Hey, welcome, Casey. Kristen and I are so excited that you're our guest this week. So get us started and let us know a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi, ladies. First of all, that was such an amazing introduction. I'm very flattered. So thank you for that.
You're worth it.
So I'm an agent in New York City as well as New Jersey. I moved to the East Coast about 3 years ago, born and raised in California. So I spent 10, 11 years in commercial finance, so commercial banking, lending, a little bit in private equity, always really real estate focused, real estate finance. So when I came to the East Coast, I started in real estate, residential sales. And so now I've sort of been on every side of the transaction, which is really nice. And it's been just really exciting.
I love your rich background. Yeah, like your whole background of real estate. You must have such a view of real estate that most agents don't get to have.
It's true.
I focus a lot on commercial. So residential, it's similar, but I really, really love residential sales. It's really, really fun.
So tell us, speaking of views, tell us like where you live, because it is really, really cool. Sure. And what brought you there?
So New York City and New Jersey, where I live, is separated by the Hudson River. So I live in a high rise. We can look out the window. I can see the skyline of New York City. So we're really, really close. So when I began working here, I was just an agent in New York City. During COVID, I decided to become an agent in New Jersey. This is where I'm living. But also because of COVID, as I'm sure everyone's aware, a lot of people left New York City, especially families and people with young kids. And many people came and started buying in the suburbs. So it was a perfect opportunity and time for me to get my license and start working here. So we're very, very close, but still two very, very different markets right now.
I'm like fascinated with what you were selling in New York. And we have had so many moms in real estate on the show, but never, ever have we been able to talk to someone like you. So would you just tell our audience a little bit about like the type of real estate like in New York that you're accustomed to selling?
Sure.
Like your $12 million listing.
Yeah. Right. So I'm on a team in New York. We focus on luxury real estate. So right now we have an amazing listing. It's 11,995 in NoHo. It's at a building called 21 Astor. It's over 4,000 square feet. It's 2 floors. I mean, it's just amazing. Just panoramic windows everywhere you go. Very high ceilings. It's so beautiful and it's so cool, right? To be working with that type of listing and doing the showings and everything. It's really exciting to be able to market.
I mean,
it's only 12 million. So yeah.
That is so cool. So before we get into like a lot of the main things that we want to talk to you about today, I do want to like have you share a little bit about your experience like with COVID, because you have a daughter who is almost 2, right? She's 20 months. Yeah. And you're living in a high rise. And I feel like a lot of us, we're all over the nation. So we have moms everywhere and everyone's experience during COVID is so different. And I feel like of all the moms we've talked to, you have one of the harder situations just because you are, it's snowing out there. So why don't you tell everyone what it's been like for you?
Sure. It has been a challenge. You know, in the summer months, it was a little easier, but now we're in the dead of winter. It's, 30 something degrees. So it's not like we can really, I mean, we can bundle up and go to a park for a little bit, but really, how often are you going to do that? It's just too cold. There's definitely been positive things about COVID. I don't even want to see it. Literally maybe 32 degrees here if we're lucky. And I'm from California. Like, it's just really, really cold, And so, look, the positives were that my husband and I have been here in the last year with her, watching her grow and spending so much time with her. And, he definitely wouldn't have been able to have that experience. And I know that he's just loved it. And this is such a cute and amazing age. I mean, they all are, but it's just so special. So I'm glad we've had that time with her. But as far as, my husband's working from home too. And so it's tough. Right now, this is my time in this room. He had to leave. She's outside. Like, you try to juggle it. But for instance, the other day I was on a call and she came barging in, mama, 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 mama. And I just said to the other person on the phone, like, work from home life, like, that's what it is. And of course they understand, that's what it is right now. We're all doing the best that we can.
I've talked to some people who have such a negative overtone about this last year, but I'm not going to lie. There are so many positive things, like that perspective. I understand this is a time I've had clients when I was selling real estate that even if your child was anywhere near you, they judge you and look at you weird. Right. But it's like we, the people who choose to, have a better, more positive, realistic outlook on just a lot of things, including, oh, you're working from home and I can hear your kid in the background. Big deal.
Definitely. It's no big deal. And that's the new normal. And who knows how long this will go on for. And maybe even when things get back to normal, I think a lot of people will still have the opportunity to work from home, which is, I think, a great thing.
I do too. And I think it's funny because I think a lot of people for so long complained about going to work. And then all of a sudden they're like working from home and they're complaining about being home. I'm like, pick one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, now I can't even imagine like getting dressed and sitting in traffic like I did in California, for an hour or so this is just, I'm liking this a lot better.
I'm really excited for you to talk to our audience about something in particular, because I've been thinking about it nonstop since the last time we spoke. And because I think your perspective on this is going to help a lot of people. Like, I was so surprised after talking to you and hearing about your success and learning about your life, your struggle with fear and anxiety. Are you willing to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. And it's so funny. It's never in a million years would I ever have thought that it would be something I would talk about. Anxiety was such a struggle for me for so many years. And I just thought that was how I was built. And that's the way it was going to be forever, trying to constantly manage my fear and anxiety. And it, 5-6 years ago, I really had a breaking point where I had to do some soul searching, really do a lot of work on myself, where my life was just really stagnant and stuck in a place that I just didn't want to be. And that's when I was able to do a lot of work related to like what my core beliefs were, and when people would say that before, I always thought, what does that mean? That's some like hippie mumbo jumbo, but it's really true. Like everyone has core beliefs about money, work, family, themselves, other people. And when you kind of start getting clear about what yours are, I think you'd be pretty surprised. Do you feel that everyone's out to get you? Do you feel that money is hard to come by, that success is hard and you have to work hard? And it depends. Everyone has all of these different beliefs, right? And mine were that nothing good ever happens to me. I feel like I'm always going to have anxiety. I'm always going to be fearful. I'm not good enough. No matter how hard I work, it's not going to work out for me. And no one will take me seriously. I'm not smart enough. Just all of these things. And just because you think them or believe them, it doesn't mean that they're true. And that was like a huge revelation for me. And so I think we all have a decision. We hear these thoughts coming in our head all day long. And someone said to me, they're just thoughts until you attach meaning to them, right? They can just be, this thought can come in your head, I'm not good enough, and you can let it go, or you can grab onto it and think about it and believe it and find examples in your life like, oh, that must be true, And when we do that, I think we find more examples of these beliefs in our life.
Yeah, so, one of the things that you had said before, it was something like this. It's like, just because it falls in your head doesn't make it fact, which I know that on the surface, everyone would agree with. But when I started really reflecting about what are the thoughts falling in my head? And I've thought about this for a long time, but it was just the way you presented it made me think about it deeper, plus this book that I'm reading, right? And so I was like, wow, you're right. Just because you say it to yourself, I don't care how often or for how long you say it to yourself, doesn't necessarily make it true. And that is a revelation that I want people to really think about. Don't let that pass you by. It is such a powerful statement. Just because it falls in your head doesn't mean you have to attach meaning to it. Brilliant.
I was watching this video that two people we work with, they were doing like a Facebook Live, and they quoted Tony Robbins, and he said, I think his quote was like, get out of your head or you're dead. And I was like, oh, it's so true. Like, we are so in our own heads. I actually like took the quote and had to post it because I'm like, it's weird. Like, I feel like I have not really struggled with this growing up. And then as I've gotten older, I do struggle with it more and more and more, which is, kind of crazy. It's just like, how does that come about? And how do these thoughts creep in our minds? And it's really nice of you to share like how it affected you and how you were able to like pull out of it, because you do a lot, like you've traveled the world doing yoga. Is that kind of related to it at all?
Yeah, I mean, during that time, that was something, for instance, I did, there was a couple of years where I did some traveling, and before that's never something I would have done because I had work, or I'll do that later. Like, I would always make excuses, and some of those trips were some of the most like amazing, transforming trips of my life, where I met all of these amazing people. I mean, I remember sitting the yoga retreat in Bali, and I had met all these people, and they were successful, doctors, attorneys, this and that, like amazing people. And they're all sitting there, with their laptop, figuring it out, working, traveling the world. And their mindset was just different than mine. And so I think that was something too for me that I started seeing, that you can look at life differently. I remember being on that retreat, and of course, I'm going to completely butcher it, but there's this saying that it's like you have, two wolves or two dogs, something like that in your ear, and one is like telling you like negative things all the time, and the other is telling you, positive. And it's like these voices, these thoughts that we have in our head, and it said like, who wins? And the one that you feed is the stronger one, is the one that wins, and I thought it was so simple, but it just really, really stuck with me. So like, am I going to be feeding into those negative thoughts, or am I going to be building myself up? And it's also, who you have around you.
Yes.
Like
100%.
5-6 years ago to the people that I have in my life now. Like, I have people who build me up, people who I can tell my goals, my hopes, and my dreams to. I don't tell my hopes and my dreams to negative, small-minded people. And that was a huge lesson I had to learn too, right? Because I was so worried about what people think of me. And honestly, what people think of me, their opinion of me, is none of my business.
I love that. I've heard that before. I love that.
I love that.
Kristen, you said something that I'm thinking about, like, as you get older, this is starting to come into your head. Well, here's what I believe. Your mindset is a lifelong endeavor. You constantly have to pick the right people, choose the right thoughts, reset, right? And I know you, Kristen, and I'm sure this is true of you, Casey, that we're going after big things. Like, we want to do big things. We want to be great moms, and we want to go after it in our real estate career. And when you go after really big things, you're going to come across the negativity, whether it's self-imposed or from somebody else. So as you go after bigger and bigger things in life, you better buckle in, because you're going to have to fight against the negativity and fight against your own doubt, self-doubt, right? So I don't think it's weird, Kristen, because you're freaking killing it and you're an amazing woman. So of course you're going to come across some more doubt as you grow as a person.
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah. And you know what's so crazy too? I feel like, I think a lot of people like Casey, like now you're willing to talk about your anxiety, but what is it? Oh, yes.
We have a couple ones. This is a good one too. This is the truth. Feelings are not facts.
Yeah. That is so funny. I just lost my train of thought because then I went to read that. Oh yeah. But I feel like the more you talk about it, I'm sure you experience this, because I see this happening too, where more people are like, yeah, I suffer from anxiety too. And there's different levels where, I have a friend right now, like, who didn't go to work for a week because she had such bad anxiety. And I'm like, well, that's really extreme, but I feel like you hear different people like coming out and talking about it more so than ever.
100%. I agree too. And especially becoming, a mother. I think as I have these really open and honest conversations with a lot of my friends, I mean, my first year of motherhood, I feel like no one told me anything. Like, I feel like I was just not prepared. If I was doing this by myself, I mean, my thoughts, everything, can be really scary. And so I was so grateful for those friends who came in and said, me too. I felt that way too.
Well, yeah, you actually said one of your self-doubts was like, you didn't feel like you were going to have that like motherly instinct. And that's something a lot of people don't talk about either. So I know a lot of women, like when they have their babies, they're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't have that feeling right away that people talk about, or whatever. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, sometimes you have to develop into that. And I think there's so many people that you do have that self-doubt as a mother. Like, am I doing a good job? I do all the time. I'm like, I had to do homework with my son for 5 minutes before this call. And that was like really hard for me. And I didn't want to do it. Am I a bad mom? No, I just didn't, so
right.
I don't know.
100%. Am I doing something wrong? Is there something wrong with me? I think those are questions that a lot, and especially friends that I have that are new moms now, I'm always checking in on them. Like, how are you feeling? Like, these thoughts that you have, these feelings, doubts you have, like, they're totally normal.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Kristen and I are really good at exposing like the shit show part of our momhood. Like, I'll walk in and I'll be like, you are not going to believe what I just did today. I am the world's worst mom. And she'll be like, you feel so much better. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this thing in Clubhouse.
I love that.
I don't think we're going to call it shit show moms. I think we're going to call it, because I don't know, somebody might not like that, but I was thinking of something like hot mess moms in real estate. You're not alone. You're not the only one, or something like that, because there's something cathartic about saying, I forgot my child at school today. I left him. I didn't pick her up on time, or, some other thing that you do, or some terrible thing that you say, or, you lose your temper. And when you just get that off your chest and you say it, and you've surrounded yourself with the right people. Like, I wouldn't say that to just anyone, but I trust my friends. I trust Kristen, for example. So for when I say that, she'll either say, you need to get it together, girl, or, oh my God, same, It's awesome.
You need that.
Yep. Absolutely. I can't wait for that.
I know.
I feel like shit show moms, although like somebody might not relate to it, like, what else are we going to call it?
I think it's the best title. Yeah, there's no other words that really sum it up.
Yes, I know. And just to tell you, Angela, you are going to be telling just anybody if it's on Clubhouse.
I know. Well, I don't really care what people think, but if I like I learned recently, I was reading that book that I told you guys about. What is it? Get Out of Your Head, I think it's called.
Yep.
And I was like, I got to the end of this one chapter and I was like, oh man, I'm a cynic. I'm like, crap. So what do? I go tell the people I trust. I got to let you know I'm a cynic and I'm going to work on it. Because, if you say it out loud and you just admit it and you talk through it with people that you trust, it somehow doesn't seem so large. It doesn't seem so overwhelming or foreboding. It becomes something that you just recognize and you're human and you start to work on, you just take some steps, right? So I don't know. I wouldn't tell certain things on Clubhouse that are very, very vulnerable. But I do want women to know that not everybody, you could title it Shit Show Moms. Yeah. Okay. Somebody likes it. So I think that there is something like I want to do the opposite of Facebook. That's what I want to do. I want to do a place where people can walk in the room and be themselves and not get judged and tell some stories and leave feeling better about themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yes.
I mean, we need community. I think community is so huge. We have community in all these different professional areas and aspects, but moms, working moms need community, I think, more than anyone.
Yeah.
Really. You're trying to juggle so many things. Like Kristen was saying, you have more on your plate than you did when you were a teenager in your 20s. Yeah. Of course you're going to have these thoughts and things. I mean, we're literally responsible for keeping these little humans alive, right?
Yeah. I just heard a knife get set down on the counter. I'm like hoping he's cutting an apple. I'm like, he is. I'm not worried, but okay, wait. I have a question before we wrap it up for you. So since our audience is real estate agents, I want you to kind of give a piece of advice. I feel like something that a lot of real estate agents that are listening might be struggling with is like, what if you do have that anxiety with your business or going out and like meeting new clients, or your confidence in being able to be the best real estate agent for your clients? Like, what advice would you give them if they were going through the same struggles you've been through?
I mean, look, it's easy to look on Instagram and see all these famous real estate agents and people who look so successful and put together. But literally everyone at some point has had that fear and anxiety. You could be doing this for 20, 30 years and you may be nervous for some type of appointment. I mean, you just don't know. Everyone has different anxieties and different fears, no matter where you are. All you can do is do your best. And there's nothing wrong with making mistakes. There's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. That's huge. And I really take those things to heart and use them every day. Like, I'm not going to give up no matter how much I fail. I'm just not giving up right now.
Yes,
I agree. And also, I'm telling you, we had such a transitional year in our careers, Kristen and I, last year. And I can't tell you how many times I've had cherished conversations with her where I was able to say, I have no self-confidence right now. I don't know if I can do this. Am I not as good as I thought I was, and just having those encouraging conversations with each other. So again, that goes back to community. You've got to find your people that are wise and not perfect, but, non-judgmental and supportive, and they want success for you as bad as you want it for them, and things 100%.
Like that. And that's 100%. Like, you need to have those people. Some people will see if you have success doesn't mean that they can't have success. There's enough success to go around.
Yes,
and we need those women, especially around us, who are saying, I'm proud of you, when you're running ideas off them, that they're saying that's a great idea, or that they can also be honest with you and call you out on certain things. Like, we need those relationships. Really important.
Absolutely. Well, I so enjoyed having you on, and I'm excited. I'm sure we'll be friends forever now.
I hope so. Yeah. Thank you guys. This was so much fun, and I loved getting to know you guys a little bit.
Yes. And you're coming to Arizona. You got to get up.
I'm ready.
Yes. Well, if you guys, if anyone listening knows of a mom that's in real estate that should be on our show, do not hesitate to reach out to Angela or I. you can go to our Instagram page and DM us, or on this page right here that you're watching on. And also, if you ever miss an episode, you guys can always catch these on iTunes. And next week, we have Lisa Blancy coming on, and she's a broker owner. She's fabulous. She's actually been licensed since she was 18 years old. It was like her first job, I'm pretty sure. And now she's 41. So her whole adult career has been in real estate. And I'm really excited to hear all the knowledge that she's going to share with us. And thank you so much for coming on, Casey. That was so much fun.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, stick on here for a minute, Casey. Thank you guys for watching. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.
Yes.